Oh, well, welcome. Let's see, where's Mary at? There she is. Hey, we got part of the crew here.
Sorry, I clicked the wrong button.
How y'all doing? How you doing, Miss Walker? What you up
I'm
to?
doing well. I'm doing well. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Perfect.
I'm so excited you're here.
Right?
Happy to be here. Y'all really been informing the community. It's been amazing to watch on Thursdays for sure.
Oh, we're trying so hard. Patty will be here a little bit late. I guess she's got a crew of advocates in her car. I don't know if they'll be driving us or joining us or not, but the carpool I'd love to be in.
Right?
Yeah, it's a good group. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start with community updates. And I believe Carlos has one coming up tomorrow. Or is it next week?
Wait. I keep thinking, yeah, today's Thursday. Tomorrow, no, Saturday, the worship center, right?
Right, with the tents.
They're gonna have clothes. That's gonna be clothes and food, and they go all out. I really appreciate.
Okay, so tell us what the event is for.
Now I'm pulling it up right now. I got it on my wall. If y'all follow me, so it says our next Beyond the Walls outreach is this Saturday, June 15th, from 11 to 1 p.m. or 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. They have free lunch and clothes. The address is 315 G Street in Antioch, California. So it says, please invite those in need in our community. So, just share that. If you know anybody in that area, downtown Antioch, let them know they're going to be giving out clothes. And then inside the church, they have these tables that they set up. It's beautiful, and then they serve everybody that comes in. So I really like that. I'm gonna be there.
Are you still cooking?
That day, no.
Okay.
I get a day off, huh? No, I'm always cooking.
All right, he gets a day off. We'll allow it. Then we got another thing coming up this weekend. We have Juneteenth on Sunday, which is also Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all those fathers that celebrate that. Juneteenth will be at Williamson Ranch Park, which is on Lone Tree and Hillcrest.
That's that one.
Yay!
Too. Wait, that's the one in Pittsburgh right here, right? Which one were you talking about?
That one is the Pittsburgh one. So that's the one that's at John Buckley Park in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Do you got the other one too?
I didn't get that one. My bad. Sorry, folks.
All right, I'll post it on our Facebook page.
Right.
We decided to change the name from Carlos Tacos Show to East County Voices, because that's really what we're doing, is we're lifting voices. Yeah. So when you share us, don't tell them to look for the Carlos Tacos Show. Tell them to look for East County Voices. And if you want to be on the show, send us a message either through our Facebook page or find us. And I know you guys see us in public and you come up to us and things. Let us know if you want to be on the show, because we really want to hear what you have to say. And that is me leading up to Tamisha, because we're going to welcome her and we want her voice heard tonight, but not as Tamisha City Council, but as Tamisha superhero for the Safe Return Project.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I know you all had a day on a while back. Also talk a little bit about uh safe return, and so just excited to be back and expand on anything you all want to know about our organization and our work. And so any questions you have, no question is a bad question. I'm open to answering it all. And so, for those who don't know me as the co-founder and director of Safe Return Project, Tamisha Torres Walker, my preferred pronouns are she, her, Aya, and I identify as formerly incarcerated, convicted. So I have had my experiences with the criminal legal system. And I think it was like 2010. I joined up with a small group of community researchers who were predominantly formerly incarcerated to transform reentry in Contra Costa County. There, people don't recognize, but like more than 15 years ago, there was no reentry in Contra Costa County. People used to go to Oakland. San Francisco had premier reentry services. So a lot of people from our county used to have to go to other counties to get services. We had a 75% recidivism rate at that time, meaning that almost everybody was returning back to jail or prison for some reason.
Wow.
And we also was sent the highest number of individuals in the state to prisons from our county, right? And so this group of community researchers who got an opportunity to do work to advocate for resources for reentry became the Safe Return Project. And I got to be a co-founder of that. And so many people don't know that more than 15 years ago, we didn't have reentry. And a lot of people don't know that the Safe Return Project spearheaded all the work that which is the reason why we have a reentry system of care right now. And all of those amazing service providers who have jobs serving people impacted by incarceration have those jobs because of the Safe Return Project and our advocacy around AB 109 and justice reinvestment strategies. And so the mission is really to end mass incarceration and mass criminalization in poor communities. And
Nice.
so when you hear stories about generations of fathers and sons ending up in the same prison, like you have to ask yourself, where do we fail as a society? Not necessarily where did that individual fail, right? I think when we individualize criminalization to individuals' behavior, or we individualize racism rather than look at systems, then we make it about the person's behavior rather than the gaps in the system that would have allowed a person to thrive, right? And so a lot of people, you might hear, call it a second chance. Here at Safe Return, we say some people haven't gotten a first chance.
Right.
And so we want people to have a first chance. And the only way we could do that when we were established in 2010 was to get in rooms where no other formerly incarcerated people were, that were advocating aggressively, where there was a DA, were judges, where there was sheriffs and police and all of these other groups, and say, you don't get to just keep the system going the way it's been going, because we know it's not working. And it's costing us more to incarcerate and criminalize poor people, people with mental health issues, and the homeless than it would actually cost us to just serve people.
Right.
And so that was our work. Our first campaign was AB 109 realignment. We transformed that system, and fortunately, we moved millions away from incarcerating people into the system of reentry, and we're proud of that work. We don't get credit for it because, the little the people on the ground who actually advocated for it never gets the credit. The story, which is why I'm glad y'all call it the voices of the people, right? Because the story never gets told correctly when it's an institution telling the story. You got to tell the story. The people who actually did the work fought hardest to make sure that themselves had opportunity, Because at this time, we were all formerly incarcerated on parole, probation, federal probation, no resources. We didn't know what we were going to do, but we had this great opportunity to make systems that would serve us and our communities. And so
So let
I'm
me ask
excited
you
about that.
can I ask you a question about that?
Mhm.
What was the first time you remembered a win? Because I'm
Yeah,
assuming that there was a lot of doors being shut in your face at first.
I think we, when our first recognized win was taking over the CCP, which is the county's community corrections partnership meetings, like kicking in those doors and taking over those meetings, busing hundreds of community members from all across the county to those meetings, people who are fighting for decarceration, people who are fighting for immigrant rights. And our biggest wins out of, like, it felt like maybe a year to 2 years of like advocacy and really aggressively fighting the sheriff who wanted all the money.
Oh yeah.
Hi, Patty. And so, what out of all that organizing, all that advocacy, all the
Am I on?
research,
Are we
all
on?
of, yeah, yeah,
We're live.
all of the, like, building power, right? We actually shifted the dynamics in that space.
Yeah.
We knew we were winning when they started fighting each other rather than fight us.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. That is fantastic.
Right. So most people won't recognize when you're winning because you don't feel like it's tangible yet. But we
Right.
knew we were winning when they started to fight each other. Right.
Right.
When we had Chief Magnus, who was a very progressive police chief, started pushing back against police getting all the money, and then other people around the table start pushing back against the sheriff because he wanted the money, and then they forgot we were in the room. They just start fighting each other. And so we knew we were winning, and the biggest win out of that work was we established California's very first community advisory body to the CCP. No community. No community. Can you hear me?
Very lightly.
You said lightly.
You're better now.
So no county in California after realignment established a community advisory board. Contra Costa was first.
Nice.
And that board also came with advocating for money. So none of the AB 109, the first 19 million, was going to go to any reentry. And so not only did we establish a body to create a budget for reentry and to have a commitment to oversight, we also got money. And every year we fought to increase that dollar amount. And just to be clear, I don't think there's ever any amount of money that can reconcile the war on drugs and the impact of, like, racial disparity and poverty in our communities.
Right.
But it was definitely a start. So that was our first big.
I love that so much. I kind of feel like that's what we did a little bit too in Antioch with the Police Oversight Commission. Just a little bit. And I think you spearheaded that one too.
In Antioch?
Yeah. Didn't you give us that idea?
For the mayor's apprenticeship program?
No. For us to fight for marginalized communities, for Black and Brown communities, and for the people that were victims of police brutality, which I'm assuming are probably going to be some of your clients and some of your members.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I moved to Antioch in 2015, so I don't know what was happening in Antioch.
That's when I moved here.
But when we were fighting this fight between 2010 and 2015, before I moved to Antioch, it was really hard to get people from East County to show up. I mean, like,
Oh,
really hard. It became very clear to us that the flow of information in our county is West County to Central and then just drops off.
right.
Like you all get no information.
Mm-mm.
And it's even harder to get, to get people to actually show up. And what we found was that it was one, a resource desert. Two, there is no organizing infrastructure that exists. You all, I think the first time I felt proud to be an Antioch resident was when the first march happened after George Floyd.
Oh, yeah.
Because before, and I was super concerned that Antioch wouldn't respond. As an organizer and an advocate, I was really concerned that Antioch would not respond. And when I heard about that first march, I was at every one since then because I was going to Oakland joining their march. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So that inspired me and made me feel like, okay, there are people who are listening in this city. It was also discouraging to know all the resources that exist
Oh,
that
it's so
just
hard.
weren't making it to.
Yeah, the resources don't make it out here. Like, we're supposed to have core out here when we do abatement. Have you ever seen core? I've never seen core.
I mean, I ran into a couple of their people before, but they always talk about being understaffed, under-resourced, and needing staff.
Yeah, they said
And
they
like
have
the
one
reality
person
is
for
like
all of
when
East
I
County.
always talk about East County as a region, and
Oh,
most people don't, because it really is. And so everything that happens in East County, because we call it rural suburbia,
yeah.
if anything's gonna work, you need a regional approach. All those cities need to come together to fight for those resources and things. So it's and gun violence is something that I have worked on since my brother passed. And when I first moved to Antioch, like somebody hit me up and was like, you in Antioch now, you know that gun violence is gonna start increasing out there. You out there, how can you get together? And I started calling everybody in the city.
Yeah.
And nobody would respond, not even the police chief. And so now we did marches. We worked with Pittsburgh, Oakley, Brentwood was invited to the table. But for the most part, people were like, "That's an Antioch problem."
Yeah.
And I mean, the Measure X funding, I was able to be in some of those community meetings that were organized, and I got to meet, Joy and Monica and Lamar and folks for the, just to see who's representing our city and like what's going on. I met Joy and Monica for the first time at a barbershop meeting.
Yeah. How did you feel about that when you first saw our council? Because I know the first time I saw the council, I was like, oh God.
First time I really met them and got a chance to actually engage, I was just like, get informed.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm here. I ain't going nowhere.
Right.
I'm asking questions. I remember when Lamar told me at a Measure X meeting, he introduced me to Joy Mine. He was like, well, she, we're moving to districts. And so Joy is going to be your council member. She's already a council member. And he introduced me to her. And, the introduction was pretty dry. But I did shake her hand and was like, hey, great. It's good to know that you're the person that I need to be calling. Right.
Right.
And I'll be looking, hopefully, to support you,
Right.
in that district race. And so I had met so many people who are from Richmond, from San Francisco, from Oakland, who live in Antioch, but they don't claim. And so when we talk about organizing and resources, Rubicon is in Antioch providing reentry services to people impacted by incarceration in East County, and that's in part because of the organizing of Sacred
Right.
They wanted to be in Brentwood.
I think we still have a little work to do that direction.
Like, absolutely not.
I think we should try I think Brentwood might be more inviting than Oakley, but yeah, that's going to be kind of a challenge to get out there. Oh
Yeah.
God.
But you know, if it wasn't for the organizing of formerly incarcerated convicted people, safe return, myself, there would be no Rubicon in any October.
Yep. Can you fix your earpiece again so that we can hear you better?
And then I believe we got Camila joined us.
And I love Camila.
Welcome, Camila. You there?
Did you try?
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hi, who is that?
That's Camila.
Camila.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I
Yes.
can hear you.
So I got another question for you, Tamisha, because I have small pieces of knowledge, knowing that I have a few friends now that are part of your organization that you might have introduced me to. One of the first things that I got to see, and it confused me, and that's when I really kind of started looking into your organization, was I was standing in front of the courthouse in Martinez, and Raina was passing out cards for education. They were cards where people were going to be paid to be educated to come back into society. Is that a normal program for you? Was that how does that work with the Safe Return project? I mean, you're bringing people back. You've done, the fighting. You got that part, and the policies kind of stirred up, and then you have the shift where you're doing all these things for the people, which is so super cool. But how did that work? Are classes and things like this where you're helping people get education for jobs? How big a part of that is to your organization?
Right. So, we are not a reentry service provider.
No.
We are very clear on that. It's a different dynamic. We consider ourselves a community, and for the most part, a family. And so, our primary purpose work is justice reinvestment using community-based research to drive policy change, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as we do our advocacy work and we fight in the community, we started finding out that like people weren't actually like being mobilized, right? They weren't being radicalized, mobilized. They were informed about their experience and maybe some policies. They weren't really in the movement, and there was a real need for like healing and like building community. And so one of our first projects was the Collective Impact Institute, which now is a 15-week institute, and it's open to everybody, not just formerly incarcerated people, their family members and community allies who want to share space, heal, learn organizing, learn about political education, so to get politically educated, and to learn around how we use communication to boost up our movements in our community, no matter what it is. And the thing for allies being in that space, if you've never been impacted by the criminal legal system, we want you to come in there knowing that you're in a space where the voices of people who are directly impacted is prioritized. And for the most part, you're here to learn, but we also want you to like join the movement.
Yeah.
And so that's been going on for a few years now. I think about maybe seven years.
Nice.
And there are two avenues. One is you get a stipend, right? For going, there's an undisclosed amount of money in a pot. And based on the number of people who complete the 15 weeks, we split that money up and give them all an honorarium of sorts. And so it's not like we're not paying you to come.
Right.
But because you came, we want to honor your time with a resource that we know is scarce for most of our folks.
Right.
Even if it's only $100, right?
Right.
Like we just want to show you that we're not paying you to be there.
Right.
We're showing you appreciation for your time, that you committed to learn organizing, movement building, and heal in community.
Right. And do a
The
lot
other
of
avenue is for people who have tickets. So we have a relationship with Homeless Court. You all familiar with Homeless Court. And so you could either go that avenue where you need to clear up some tickets and you get those hours for that, or you get the honorarium. We also have a sister circle group for girls and women impacted by violence and incarceration. And that started about 3 years ago. And they have access to all kinds of emergency funding support for if they need to move somewhere because it's too violent in their neighborhood, if they need paid training, if they need therapy and coaching is added to it. And the groups and they meet and we talk about issues impacting women and girls and those who identify as women that either may have them facing violence or incarceration.
right.
That program is specific to Richmond, so you gotta be a resident of the greater Richmond area, which is from El Cerrito to Parchester and San Pablo to be in that program. We have a Latin X young men's group, and I know what people thinking, but it's very diverse. Black and brown young men coming together, bringing their homeboys to our office. They get life skills training. They talk about issues in the community. We send them on outings, and they also have access to emergency resources. And then we have our Richer Boy Fellowship, which is a 12-month paid fellowship, full benefits, and life coaching for a period of 12 months. And for 6 of those 12 months, guess what we pay you to do?
Nothing.
Heal. Healing.
Healing.
Especially the relationships you in. We pay you to go to the DMV and get a license.
Oh, nice.
We just pay you for the first 6 months to get your life into it. Right? Emotionally, spiritually, physically, right? We have something called flex days where that day you can run any errands you need to run as long as it is additive to your personal development or professional development. We pay you for that day. And then after the first 6 months, then you're paired with an organizer because we've already been introducing you to movement building, and now you like tossed into the field. You're going to meetings with the DA. You're going to community tabling events. You're going to the Measure X committee or the CAB and getting people signed up for boards and commissions and like having people advocate. And we just graduated our 5th cohort last month. I'm super excited about these folks and recruited our next cohort. And what's been most exciting for me, not that I'm biased, is that all of our cohorts have had women in them. And I'm so excited about that. That we've had an opportunity to do that. And everybody had their own personal goals. They have a coach. We do some self-directed counseling. And it's what do you want to do?
Right.
You know, now that you see it, you can't unsee it. So even if your goal is just to go to school, go into a trade, you have relationships with labor, go into nonprofit work or go into organizing, we want to help you figure that out. And even if you like, well, I love organizing, I'm going to always be an advocate, but I want to be a bus driver, then go be a bus driver. But when something isn't going right or there are worker issues, know that you have the skills to organize other workers. Know that you have the skills to lift up issues in public transportation. So what we're doing is training organizers to go into all fields because it's needed. And so those are our major, what people call programs.
Yeah.
But we have LOCs, local community meetings, where we just talk about issues, organize with people who just want to organize and move strategies. We do that. We build coalitions and we build tables to drive movement work. So we do a lot of that as well. we're the lead organization with the ACLU and the Colored Defenders Association for the District Attorney Accountability and Co-Governance table. So really meeting with the DA to talk about how to reduce the footprint of the criminal legal system in our county while also holding people accountable for
And
their
that's going to loop
actions.
me back into the question Patty has here, where she is asking if what we're doing, because there's a prison industrial complex education to school pipeline. That's obviously something that we should probably work on. Does your organization do anything for helping prevent that, for making the changes like you were talking about earlier? Like, the dad and the son were in the same cell. Is there any way to prevent that from happening? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of work. It takes parent organizing as well. We aren't in the field of education organizing, but we understand that the cradle to prison pipeline is important to address, and the school to prison pipeline is like in the middle, right? So when you're
right,
saying like, we want to stop it, that's the cradle part, right? Like you're
right,
already in it, like academic institutions definitely need to be influenced, but it mostly happens with parent organizing or outside organizations organizing and parents. And so for Safer Turn, a lot of our work is just in general decarcerating young people. And we need to have the right amount of resources directed to the right areas in the community to prevent young people from coming into contact with law enforcement, period. And if it does happen, then we need to have a an approach that looks at the whole young person rather than the behavior that got them connected to
right.
the system. And
So are
so
some of
we did a lot of advocacy around the JJCC, which is our Juvenile Justice Coordinating Council that oversees the JJCPA, which is Juvenile Justice Coordinating Council, blah, 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 money, right? It's all
right
about
money?
money. So we organized with groups like Rise and other groups to reform that and get people appointed to it that would do deep advocacy to make sure those funds didn't just pay for overhead and probation, but actually pay for resources to keep young people um, out of jail. We fought in West County to get SROs out of the schools, and I know that's a very controversial issue, but the reality is our young people don't need policing in schools. They need mental health services, they need other resources, and they need an approach that really addresses the issues of youth and families. And so we
Oh,
advocate strongly
absolutely.
to keep police out of schools, and for the money that schools spend on police to actually go to spend it on young people.
So,
And
so I
so
haven't.
we do a lot of that work, but we do it in partnership with organizations that really serve young
Right.
people.
Do any of the people that you're training to be advocates and to be leaders and to organize um have an interest in doing this? I mean, would that be something that they could potentially go into?
Yeah, so a handful of our organizers came into the organization when they was 19, and they all been impacted by incarceration criminalization. So when they came on the staff, their primary focus was getting into the schools and working with young people and like doing reforms to prevent like aggressive push out, right? Like
Right.
in school suspension, just like discipline for no reason. So we have a strong relationship with the West Country Casa School District, and when things shift in districts and leadership, it could jeopardize community partnerships.
Oh
And
boy, does it
so,
ever.
and districts make it really hard for community partners to actually come in, even with your own resources. But then when you also have a past record, then they make it grossly hard, right?
Right.
As a parent, I couldn't even go on field trips with my son. So that's something we want to continue to fight for here in the West Country Council School District is to like have a process of appeal and exception for parents with convictions, because we shouldn't be denied in participating in our child's education or volunteering just because we have a conviction.
Right.
So
That just hit me because when my kids were in school, my kids are in their 20s now. They're mid 20s. Parents had to start getting their fingerprints, and I never thought about that, that was a privilege of mine. And now it makes me sick because we should go back to not having to do the fingerprints and maybe look at for a name on a list or something if the concern is sexual predators, because I don't think that necessarily somebody incarcerated is a bad parent or
I
would.
think when it comes to background check in these type of institutions, you just throw everything at the wall and hope it sticks. But then you don't have a appeal process. You don't have a process where somebody could come in and tell you why the conviction is or what you had it for. And I get it. If somebody has, if somebody abused an elder, a child, like you looking for certain things. You're not looking for everything, but you deny everybody without an
Right.
appeal, right?
Like if
And
you took a car, that doesn't mean that you're going to hurt somebody.
right. And most people don't know. So I have well, most people do because we have great investigators in Antioch, right? So on my record, I have a child endangerment charge, right? But most people don't know that that charge came from not having my son in a seatbelt.
Oh, it was just a
It,
seatbelt,
yeah, it
and
didn't
he
come.
could have took it off himself.
It didn't come from abuse. It didn't come from neglect. It didn't come from anything. It came from me getting pulled over. I was escaping an abusive situation. And when you're in that situation, you're not thinking about seatbelts. You're throwing the kids in the car, you grabbing everything you need to grab because you're trying to get to a safe distance for yourself. And so when I got pulled over, he wasn't in a seatbelt.
But it
So
was you were escaping, and he wasn't
yeah.
in the seat. Oh my God!
And so when people look at it, it just say child endangerment. It don't say not having a child in the seatbelt, right?
Right.
So I think we also, what we also been fighting for is like reforming like the DOJ background check process. Like after a while, I mean, people always raise up the boogeyman offenses, rape, child molest, like all of those things. Like those aren't coming off your record anyway. But there definitely needs to be a review of these systems. Because when somebody pull your background check uh and they see child endangerment, that's all they see. They don't
Yeah.
know the full story, but then they also don't have an appeal process that would allow you to explain what happened. That's just not giving a person a chance. So we
Right.
do advocate for those kind of policies at district level. But as far as I know, there is no organizing happening in AUSD, which is probably grossly needed considering they've been almost, sued a couple of times around racial discrimination when it comes to African Americans
But we
and
really need to
other
look
things.
into that deeply.
Yeah, I don't think people. I think the difficult part about organizing in Antioch as they return as an organization is that we know that East County has a high number of formerly incarcerated convicted people. Period.
Yeah.
From Bay Point all the way to Discovery Bay.
I
And
wonder
you
if
might
that's
not
why
want to
they
think
don't do
you
a
do,
lot of
but your
field trips in
neighbor might have
general.
a conviction, right?
Yeah.
And so the problem is that commuting, finding work, finding resources, sometimes it's so scarce. It's like, how do you really organize those folks in East County? But the good thing for us is that we've been getting a large number of participation in our program of
Right.
East County folks over since the pandemic. So I think our goal is to continue to engage that community in East County and hopefully start, making sure that parents are engaged at the district level because it's so important. But then also making sure that people are voting because formerly incarcerated people to vote. We fought for people on parole to have a right to vote.
Right.
We educate people on probation that they do have a right to vote, and if anybody tell them they don't, it's a lie. And
Yeah.
right now, there's a fight for people in prison to be able to vote.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's a lot that we do as an organization, but the best thing that I look that we do is investing in healing and community building.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got another question for you. I'm peppering you with everything. Sorry, I've had a lot of time to think about you. You know a lot about Measure X. We know that because we see you chiming in on that. For formerly incarcerated people, are there organizations that we can try to set up here in Antioch that would be able to use some of those Measure X dollars? And if
I
so,
think
how
the
would you see
thing-
that helping Antioch?
I think the thing is that like Rubicon is in Antioch, right? So
Mhm.
Rubicon is huge, right? They're everywhere. They're like Walmart, right? Like
Right.
they're like big. But if you're small, you know, the Measure X dollars, there was dollars given to reentry, because you know the office of whatever it's called, it's in probation. They advocated for more money for reentry, right? We
Right.
advocated for youth as they return, in addition to increasing funding for reentry, but mostly for because whether you know it or not, women impacted by incarceration and criminalization are still grossly under resourced, and we don't have a lot of gender specific organizations that are just serving women or
Right.
those who identify as women, non-binary folks, right? So we advocated for that. I think what smaller nonprofits, if you're out there and you're in East County and you exist and you like, I work with people impacted by incarceration all the time, and this might even be some of the churches. It's not just Measure X dollars that's out there. The county puts out. There's so much money at the county you could apply for: JJCPA dollars, AB 109 dollars. There's money that goes out to serve those folks. I think even the district attorney's office might have some small program money that they put out in the community to partner with community groups to serve people. Probation partners with community groups to serve people through the JJCPA, and you can get money. And so what I've been trying to tell people in East County since coming there is like, we don't have to be resource poor. We don't have to be a resource desert, but like I started this conversation and said, the information doesn't get to you all.
Right.
You don't find out about the money until it's already been given.
Right.
If you find out about it at all. And so I always talk to people about all of the funding opportunities and what they can do. And sometimes I even offer to help them apply for those funds. I mean, I work day and night on creating the budget and the proposal for the CalVIP money for violence prevention in Antioch with city staff for what felt like forever, because I was the only one in the room knowledgeable on the grant, and I also pulled other people in that I have relationships with. And so a lot of us have networks, and if we could just get our networks together,
I always say
then
that
these
too.
smaller organizations that aren't the Rubicon can start to compete for some of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's not a surprise. I usually always do. So Patty's got some other questions on here that she's more knowledgeable, so I think I'm going to leave it to her when we have another show. But
I think was that
it's systemic. It's keeping families in their homes. It's reparations. It's guaranteed income. It would be how to make our community more equitable. Those are things that are great, and I'm sure that you have pieces of that. Possibly, you're frozen? Oh no, you're not. Are there pieces of that in the Safe Return program that your project? I'm so sorry, project that that you can speak on?
Can you repeat it? Because I was trying to pull up the document.
Yeah, so on the document, she's got it on here as for marginalized communities, how to make the world more equitable. You know,
Right.
with
I see like systematic change,
yeah,
reparations, guaranteed income type of thing.
yeah,
So, you know, we saw in Stockton some success under Mayor Tubbs with the guaranteed income program. People are rolling out, like San Francisco is going to be rolling out a guaranteed income for foster youth. I think these programs, I think like a lot of people are doing them. There's some people that's tried to do them in Concord and trying to do it in Antioch. And you always have to ask yourself, like, everybody want to know, how are you measuring the success of these programs, right?
right.
Are they really creating upward mobility for folks? And people say, well, if people had this extra money, what would they do with it? Hopefully pay bills.
Right.
Right? Hopefully have some extra so that they're not house poor, right? Hopefully invest in transportation. And what they found in Stockton is that people didn't spend it on weed and beer and alcohol and drugs. People actually spent it to increase their own quality of life, right?
Right.
And so I think the pushback is always people is like, don't spend our tax dollars. That's a waste of our tax dollars. I I always say, like, when somebody say, oh, you're mismanaging our tax dollars, I'm like, well, I'm a taxpayer too. And I don't think that, right? Like I pay tax.
Yeah.
And I want my tax dollars to go to things like that. Like, we would want our tax dollars to go to stemming, like, to like snuffing out poverty and capitalism. We want our tax dollars to do that for people. And guaranteed income programs can do that, but it's also like, how are you targeting the community? Are you assessing upward mobility and growth? Or are you just hindering people? And these are still some of the questions that's out there. When it comes to reparations, Safe Return has always been involved. We're a part of the California Black Power Network. We've been in rooms having conversations about reparations for a while and what it means and what it should be. And you got the NAACP and all of these other people at the table kind of saying, like, nah, we don't want to cut people a check. Let's just invest in more social programs. And it's like I don't want the NAACP to get my money, because what Martin Luther King said, we come to get our check. I think people love quoting Martin Luther King when it like fits their narrative, but I want us to remember that he said we coming to get our check. I think
Right.
people don't want to quote that, right?
Right.
Let's quote that. let's quote that, right? So I think
No, I love that quote. Let's get shirts.
He did. He said that.
Maddie,
But people,
you can hook us up, right?
Right. People pick from his speeches, you know, especially, you know, no offense, but some white people do too, right? They cherry pick Black leaders' words and leave out the foundation, right,
Well,
of
yeah.
some of the speeches. And
well, the part that's really pathetic about us lately is we've been quoting Morgan Freeman.
Right.
Right.
So Safe Return is invested
like
in
him.
continuing conversations around reparations and being in rooms and understanding the dialogue. Yeah, social programs need to be funded, but through the funding of social programs, that is not it. That is not all. Some of us want our check.
Yeah.
Some of us don't want to pay, want our mortgages forgiven. Some of us don't want to ever pay taxes. Right now, this is, you know, obviously
I don't ever want to pay
like
taxes.
out there,
right?
But I think that the conversation is ongoing. I think they're trying to figure it out now, and the challenge is always going to be lineage. How are you going to prove that you're a descendant of a and so I think, you know, it's still developing. I think people say, like, oh, San Francisco just passed reparations. They're still fighting, right? About what that means. And so I think like Black people in particular who are descendants of slaves, deserve reparations, like the community that
I do
was.
too.
Hmm?
I do too. I
Mhm.
think
I also think that there is,
Oh,
and I hate to muddle this with the conversation about reparations for Black folks, but we don't talk enough about poor white folks.
no, I
And
might,
not
but it's
even
not
white
nice.
folks talk enough about poor white folks and
Yeah.
the need, right? And so why is 45 so popular? Because he tapped into the disparity in poor white communities where they think that because I'm Black and I own a home, I took something from you, right?
Yeah, but that's
When
not the
really
first. That's not
we
the
all
first
poor
person who's
people.
done
So
that.
I like the poor people's movement. We need a poor people's movement. That's what we really need.
Right.
Like America owes all of us, all poor people, right? And there is a poor people's movement nationally, and there's some poor people's movement folks who came to Antioch a while ago. And it's like, how do we just get all poor people on the same page? So that's also something Safer Turn is involved in. And when we talk about marginalized communities, like how to make the world more equitable, this just transition is so important. We need a just transition from all extractive economies, period. And the prison industrial complex is an extractive economy in that it extracts whole bodies from communities for profit.
Right.
And so not just major polluters are only extractive economies. You also have this prison system that is extractive by nature and for profit, right?
Oh, they do that to all sorts of kids. Any kind of kids that act up. They were targeting rich people's kids too, saying, "Send your kid here, we'll clean them up."
Yeah,
And
but
there
you
was just
don't
a whole
clean them up.
documentary on that.
You don't clean them up.
No,
You
you
like
fuck them up.
we have heard stories of young people being arrested, incarcerating, experiencing trauma and abuse while incarcerated, and then um you know unaliving themselves.
Yeah.
So we know people don't get healthier in jails and prisons; they just get sicker. I mean,
Yeah.
you might have an anomaly where somebody needed to be set down for a minute so that they could reflect and find out that they wanted a new life. That's what happened for me. I wouldn't accredit incarceration to my transformation. It was that I needed a timeout because I had experienced so much trauma in my life, and I was never able to have the time to just sit with myself. And I
Right.
got that in jail, but I don't promote jail, right? How do we create those spaces in communities for people to do that type of reflecting to change their life around, so they don't need to go to jail for a turnout? And that's the goal, the mission.
I feel like going back to earlier when you were talking about not being able to go to your kid's field trip, I gotta tell you that's like really affecting me. Because my background was in early childhood education. And one of the things that I promoted when I was working with kids was the parents needed to come to school, because when your parents are present and your parents are showing you that you're important, you're going to thrive. And if you're thriving, you don't have time to get into trouble, basically. So we need to find a movement to get you guys back into the classrooms with your kids.
Yeah. I don't know
We
what
need
they
that
do
movement.
I don't know what they do in Antioch because my granddaughter just started going to rocket ship.
Mm-hmm.
But all my kids have all gone to school in West County, and I know it's an issue there. And parents are still fighting today for that privilege.
Well, find me some parents. I want to fight with them. I do. because that's, I mean, literally that's what I did for years and years of my life. Is I was trying as hard as I could to do emerging curriculum with kids, my kids, other kids, and without parents, you can't really do that.
right.
It's a community effort.
And most people might say, well, don't get a record. But like,
But you guys get records for no fucking reason.
I'm a be
Because somebody
people
had a
who
bad
say-
burrito.
People who say don't break the law, make stupid, make stupid choices, get stupid prizes. They have probably jaywalked and
Yeah,
should have been arrested
right.
because that's
Or they
breaking the
littered.
law.
Or they
That's
threw
breaking
something
the law.
out of their car and it hit somebody else's car and caused property
Right.
damage.
I'm telling you, you have probably broken a law that you don't
I
know
know I
you
have.
did because you didn't get caught.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the next question, because we are a policy advocacy organization, are the policies also the problem?
Right.
And Safer Term would say absolutely, especially.
Well, I think that's a policy that's a problem.
Yes,
Because we're talking
is.
about systemic and breaking the pattern, that needs to
Yeah.
be broken.
Yeah.
It needs to be shattered
Mm-hmm.
for our kids.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. You gotta take over, Carlos.
All right, I got tissue.
And just to let y'all know, I have 2% on my phone.
Here you
So
go.
if I die out, know that I have mad love for you all and the work you all are doing and raising the voices. Like we need diverse voices speaking.
Yeah,
about
we need
what's going on in
to
Antioch.
raise more voices.
Yeah, and across the county so that our community is more informed. And I thank y'all for getting it started for sure.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Carlos is our mastermind there.
I feel people need more than 3 minutes to say what they need to say. You feel me? So
I feel you.
So I mean, anybody, anybody's welcome on this show. I've always said that. So
yeah,
you guys want to come check it out? Just hit up Mary or Patricia and we'll get you on. So not a problem. And I'm sure Mary and Patricia have a ton of comments or not comments, questions for you. So
I have a questions for everybody. As soon as you
start
telling me what you want, I'm like, ooh, tell me more. I think Tamisha froze on us. Like she said, she had mad love for us. So I'm going to assume she has mad love for us. So you and I can bust into song now. What do you want to sing?
Sorry. I had to switch phones, but I definitely wanted to just give people the website.
Oh yeah, give the people the Patty, I know you're in the audience. As she says the website, type it in the chat so Carlos can stream it, please.
She's gone.
No, she's
Oh,
watching. She's
she
watching on
watching?
YouTube.
Okay.
All right.
So the website is www.safereturnprj.org. So again, that's www.safereturnprj.org.
So it's www, not 3 W's, right? It's 3 W's, right?
Yeah, www.
Okay.
Okay, and then we got one last question that we always ask when you're lifting up your organization. How can people help? What kind of help do you need? And is there anything else that you just want us to know?
So what I want you to know is join a local movement organization. If you're in Antioch, join Reimagine Antioch. Build power. Just build power. That helps us if you as a community build power for social change. You can volunteer. So if you go to our website, you can sign up to volunteer. Also, every dollar makes change. People's heard me say this before.
Mm-hmm.
So donate. No amount is too small. Donate to help us continue to help heal and keep people out of jails and prisons and build communities. So you can donate, you can volunteer, you can join a local movement building organization in your area because it is an additive to our movement. You can sign up for our newsletter. You can sign up for our newsletter on the website as well. We have a newsletter that goes out monthly, sometimes twice a month, depending on the amount of information. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. and just like share all of the information we put out there in the community, because you might learn something you didn't know that you might want to share with your community. That's how you can be involved. And you could also just drop into our office at 1011 McDonald Avenue in the city of Richmond. Again, that's 1011 McDonald Avenue. Drop in, come to our building. Our staffers always here. It's a community space. Come look around, get some resources, get some swag. We have t-shirts, bags, free swag for folks. So pop in and come introduce yourself to us and join the movement with Safe Return.
And with that, thank you so much for being on East County Voices.
I know, right? I was gonna say, Carl,
come back again. Talk to us about whatever you want to talk to us about. We love you. I love you.
Yeah, bring me back as a council member so that I can really tell y'all what's going on.
All right. Come back as a council member.
That sounds really good.
Come back. Tell us when you want to come. But thank you. And Carlos has cued our tune. So we will let him say goodbye.
Yeah. Thank you all, everybody, for tuning in. Again, this is East County Voices, formerly known as the Carlos Taco Show. And we are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So make sure you like, subscribe, and share this. Tell a friend. You know, we out here in California, the Bay Area, Pittsburgh, California, Pittsburgh, Antioch. You know, I gotta say, Antioch. So, California. So, you know, just so you guys know where we're at. But again, thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time. I think next week we got some people coming on talking about that event that we're having on the 22nd. Oh my God,
I'm excited to hear more about that.
Right, and that is, hold on, I got the flyer right here before we go off. Hold on. That's this right here, Unleashed. So that'll be the 22nd. That's going to be with the Victory Outreach Antioch. They'll be at the community park. What is that? City Park on this day. They're giving out.
What street is City Park on?
It's on 18th. Oh, no, my bad. It's on A Street and 10th Street in Antioch, right there in the corner. And we're going to have some custom lowrider cars there, free haircuts, food. There's going to be a Christian hip hop concert there with local artists. EGR will be there. So we'll have some more people on next week to talk about that. So I'm looking forward to that. And then who else? I don't know who else will be on the show, but we'll see. You have to tune in.
Yeah, you have to tune in or tell us you want to be on it too.
That's right. So anyway, thanks again, everybody. You guys have a good night. Thank you, Mary, for helping. Patty for trying.
Yeah, Patty.
And we'll see you all next time. Good night. God bless. And see you soon.
Bye-bye.